He drives a 10-year-old Toyota Camry. His net worth is over $40 million. And when his neighbor bought a brand new BMW to impress people at work, this man said nothing. He just smiled.
Because he already knew something most people spend their entire lives never figuring out. There is a very specific type of rich person in the world. Not the kind you see on Instagram. Not the kind leasing a Lamborghini they technically cannot afford.
The kind whose wealth is so deep, so secure, that they feel absolutely no need to show it to you. And the car they drive is not an accident. It is a psychological statement. A deliberate choice that reveals everything about how they think, how they built their wealth, and why they will keep it long after the BMW guy goes broke. So let us get into the mind of these people. Because once you understand how they think, you will never look at money the same way again. Here is something behavioral economists discovered when they studied the spending habits of high net worth individuals. The majority of people with assets over $5 million do not drive luxury cars. They drive average, reliable, often older vehicles. At first glance, this seems strange. They can clearly afford better. So why do they choose not to? The answer is not about money at all. It is about identity. And identity is where everything begins. Most people use money to answer a question they are secretly terrified of. That question is, am I enough? The car, the watch, the designer bag, these are all answers to that question. They are saying, without words, look at me. I matter. I am successful. Please believe it. The psychology term for this is external validation seeking, and it is one of the most expensive habits a human being can have, not just financially, emotionally. But the person who drives the ordinary car has already answered that question inside themselves. They are not performing wealth for an audience. They have nothing to prove, and more importantly, they have no desire to prove it. Psychologists call this internal locus of self-worth. It means your sense of value comes from within, not from the reaction of others. And this single psychological trait is more correlated with long-term financial success than intelligence, education, or even opportunity. Think about Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest human beings to ever walk this planet. He lives in the same house he bought in 1958. He drives himself to work. He eats McDonald's for breakfast. Now, you might say that is just quirky behavior from an old billionaire, but it is not quirky at all. It is deeply intentional. Buffett once said that he does not need the world to know he is rich. He already knows. And that level of psychological security is not something most people ever reach. Here is why that security is so rare. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to associate visible success with real success. The kid with the nicest shoes gets noticed. The adult with the nicest car gets respect. Society has trained us to believe that what others can see is what is real. So when someone chooses to opt out of that system entirely, it feels almost unnatural. It feels like leaving money on the table. But they are not leaving anything on the table. They are protecting something far more valuable than status. They are protecting their capital and compounding it quietly while everyone else is busy performing. There is a term in sociology called conspicuous consumption. It was coined over 100 years ago by economist Thorstein Veblen. He observed that as people earn more money, they begin to spend not for function, but for visibility. The product becomes secondary. The signal becomes primary. A car is no longer transportation. It is a broadcast. It is saying, I have arrived. But here is the brutal irony. The people who most desperately need to broadcast their success are usually the ones who feel the least secure about it. And the people who have truly arrived feel no need to broadcast anything at all. This is sometimes called stealth wealth, and it is far more common among the genuinely wealthy than most people realize. Research from Thomas Stanley, who spent decades studying millionaires in America, found that the average millionaire drives a used or moderately priced car, shops at ordinary stores, and lives in a neighborhood that would surprise you. They are invisible, intentionally invisible, because invisibility is a strategic financial decision. When you drive an expensive car, you attract expensive problems. People treat you differently. They charge you more. They expect more from you. Your lifestyle inflates to match the image you are projecting.
And before long, you are spending money not because you want to, but because your image demands it. Psychologists call this the lifestyle ratchet. Once your standard of visible living goes up, it almost never comes down. And that ratchet has destroyed more promising financial futures than any stock market crash ever could. The person in the ordinary car never lets the ratchet get a grip. They make the choice early, deliberately, and they maintain it. Not because they are cheap, not because they do not appreciate nice things, but because they have a crystal clear understanding of what money actually is. Money is not a reward to be displayed. Money is a tool, and you do not leave your tools out in the rain just so the neighbors can see them. There is also a deeply fascinating psychological concept at play here around delayed gratification. You have probably heard of the famous Stanford marshmallow experiment. Children were given one marshmallow and told that if they could wait and not eat it, they would get a second one. The children who waited went on to have significantly better life outcomes across almost every measurable category: better health, better relationships, more financial success. The ability to delay gratification is one of the most powerful psychological predictors of a successful life ever identified. And driving an ordinary car when you can afford a luxury one is delayed gratification at its most sophisticated. It is saying, I could have this now, but I choose something better later. Every dollar not spent on status is a dollar compounding silently in the background, building a future that most people cannot even imagine because they are too focused on what their car says about them today. Now, here is something that cuts even deeper. The rich person who drives an ordinary car is not just saving money. They are protecting their psychological freedom. Think about this. When you own an expensive car, you become attached to it. You worry about scratches. You worry about what people think when you park somewhere modest. Your ego gets wrapped around that vehicle. And when your ego is attached to a possession, that possession owns you far more than you own it. You have handed your emotional stability over to a machine. The person in the Toyota feels none of that weight. They get in, they drive, they get out. No anxiety, no performance, no maintenance of an image. That psychological lightness is not a small thing. It frees up enormous mental bandwidth. And mental bandwidth is where decisions are made. The best financial decisions, the clearest thinking, the most creative problem solving. All of it happens in a mind that is not cluttered with status management. Rich people who drive ordinary cars are not being humble. Humility implies restraint, holding something back. These people are not holding anything back. They are fully expressing their values. Their value is freedom over appearance, compounding over consumption, identity over image. They have simply decided that the opinion of someone seeing their car at a red light is worth exactly nothing to them. And that decision, repeated across hundreds of small choices every single day, is what builds real, lasting, generational wealth. So the next time you see someone step out of an old, unremarkable car and think they should really upgrade, pause for just a moment. Because there is a real possibility that they are not behind you. They are so far ahead of you that from where they are standing, the car you think they should drive looks exactly like the trap it is. The most expensive thing you will ever own might not be a house, a car, or a watch. It might be the need to look like you have made it before you actually have.